Good morning, Anton.
Right. Good morning to those people watching on the live stream and watching, especially those watching in the replay. We have a very special guest. And actually, ito favorite na ng mga kids kasi ano nga natin. Ano to parang activity book. Now, it's a different kind of activity book, no? Kasi bumibili kami talaga ng activity book. But this one really has a purpose, no? The first one is about data privacy, and then the other one is about fake news. So it's kind of interesting, very relevant to today's time. And we're talking directly with Gigo Alampay, the author of these two books. So if you are parents, you need to have this book, especially for the summer, pag wala nang ginagawa yung mga kids, or even like at night. This is very good. So we'll be talking to Gigo. My name is Anton Diaz, founder of Our Awesome Planet. Please join us if you're watching on the live stream. If you have questions for Gigo, just put it on the comment section below. Welcome to Awesome Live.
All right. Thank you. And we're here talking to and thank you for
All right, Gigo. All right.
Hey.
Good morning.
Good
Maybe
morning.
can you introduce yourself and what was the inspiration behind these books?
Sige. Hello, everyone. My name is Gigo Alampay. I'm the founder of Canvas, which is the Center for Art, New Ventures, and Sustainable Development. It's a nonprofit that publishes children's books. We work with artists and Filipino writers to create children's books that we give away to children in poor and disadvantaged communities all over the country. Since we started, we've given away more than 385,000 books to different communities, public schools, and hospitals. The inspiration, the two books were actually commissioned from Canvas by Globe Telecom and Google, whose advocacies are consistent with data privacy and misinformation on the internet. In fact, the first book, yung Safe Space, A Kid's Guide to Data Privacy, was also given to the National Privacy Commission to support the education efforts of the National Privacy Commission.
Okay.
So that was the impetus behind it.
Okay. Now, I'm really curious, no? How did you do that? So let's start first with the safe space. So what's the best way to consume this ba or to teach your kids? Kasi like data privacy, ang hirap ituro nito sa kids eh. How can you use this book to teach your kids data privacy?
Yung safe space is really designed for young children, no? Beginning readers to maybe 9 or 10 years old.
Okay. So the way grade school, the grade school.
Grade school. So the way we did it was we tried to make it as interactive and memorable for children as possible. So actually, I think that's You Think yung nakalabas.
That's You Think. So ito.
Yan yung safe space.
Okay.
So it's very colorful. There are activities that kids can do on their own or with parents. There's a certain flow to it, pero they can actually start from any page and they'll learn different aspects of data privacy. It's very important for children to be aware kasi especially yung young ones, no? When they go, what we have to remember is that the internet is really a great tool to learn, to be entertained, to research, and also to prepare yourself for a life in the future, diba? But kids, by their very nature, are very curious, so they might go to spaces on the internet that are not safe. So it's very important for parents to be involved and to also tell their children about the dangers of the internet para they can balance. We're not telling parents not to let their kids use the internet. That's not realistic and not advisable. But we are telling them to be more involved so that they can also keep their children safe.
Okay. Ang ganda ng graphics Sinong gumawa? Ikaw rin ba drawing?
Hindi. I wrote the main text and the flow, pero since we wanted to make it attractive for children, we contracted with a design company. It's Studio Dialogo. It's a very creative outfit that is, ang founders niyan are all members of Ilustrador ng Kabataan, which is a children's book association here in the Philippines. So they're very experienced in coming up with graphics and presenting information in a way that's approachable and appropriate for kids.
Okay. So, like for example, can you give us practical tips on how do you teach data privacy to kids? Ano ba ang pinaka main points na that they need to know? Or is it really more of awareness na merong like kasi for example, cookies, nasa-save yung information mo sa cookies, parang ang hirap itura. So, what's the best practical way to do it?
Well, the first thing that you have to tell your kids is that their personal information is valuable. No? So it's not something they should give away for free. Ano ba yung personal information? So that includes their names, their ages, where they go to school, how old they are, who their friends are. They have to be very, very careful about sharing those. Because when they go on the internet, sometimes they assume it's just their friends that see what they put out there. Diba? Pero actually, if it's a public space, like social media, then there are other people that they might not be aware who are also seeing what they're posting. So parents need to, they have to be very careful. Like especially when sites ask them, "Oh, what's your name? Where do you live?" They have to be. It should be ingrained in kids that they shouldn't do that, or if they have some questions, then they should approach either their parents or another trusted adult.
Okay. And then yung mga passwords, no? Tinuturuan natin pala yung kids.
That's really more to emphasize na there are things that even children can do to remain secure on the internet.
Okay. Pero question, yung sa do you discuss them these are privileged information or just say, you cannot just share all this information? Paano ba 'yon?
In the book there are examples of what information is valuable and why it's important to protect them. So for example, meron diyang activity na merong hypothetical picture and then try to see what some people might be able to learn about you just by looking at the picture. So for instance, if it's a birthday party, then people might figure out how old he is, who their friends are.
Galing Oo nga, no? Home address secret, yung mga birthdays, especially birthdays, no? Kasi birthdays are, dapat hindi nga sinishare ang birthday
Kasi eventually, that's useful for identity theft. So,
for identity theft, no? So, why go the children's route? What's the insight there? Ano ba yan? That's where they'll really learn, and as they grow up, at least they're more protected.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Canvas is a children's literacy advocate. Diba? So our focus really is on children, educating children, helping them to learn to not only to read but to love books. So that's why the focus is there. But I think if parents use this book to interact with their children and to use it to have meaningful conversations with their kids, they'll also learn something. Or at least they probably know it, but it will be emphasized to them that there are things that they have to be careful about. So for instance, parents, syempre, we're naturally proud of our children. So we might post many pictures of the children. Sometimes they're embarrassing kasi akala natin cute, but those things follow the kids all their lives.
Their lives, yes.
So those are things that we just want to remind even parents to be careful about.
Okay. Now, for the parents ordering this, there's a note at the back on how to use, correct?
Parang lang yan, tips for parents on how to use the book and
okay. And then my answer key also. Ganda. Ganda ng
Thank you.
Ganda ng graphic. How's the children's book market ba during the pandemic and now and getting into 2021?
Okay naman. There's been we're very pleasantly surprised that the response to the book has been very positive. Pero because of the pandemic nga, so we've had to do it mostly online. So we have an online shop where people can buy the books.
Oo.
And yeah, I'd like to emphasize that when they buy the books, it's a buy one donate two thing. So every time they buy, we donate two to poor and disadvantaged children somewhere else in the Philippines.
Nice.
So
How much is the book? How much is the book?
it's 300 pesos. 300
300
pesos.
Okay, let's talk about the second book. The second book. You Think. Oh, ano namang concept nito? What's the concept of You Think?
Well, You Think is a book that's more geared to older children and teens. No? Kasi the topic is a little more complex. So while it can be explained to young children, it's really more relevant for older children, teens who go on the internet by themselves na, more or less. But it's a reminder to be careful, especially with respect to fake news. Kunyari, we have a pandemic going on. You see a lot of people posting different things about whether to get vaccinated or ano yung vaccine na ganyan. And sometimes the people sharing those don't even know what they're sharing. It's just that it seems reasonable, so they share it because they want to inform their friends. And sometimes that's more dangerous than actually not sharing. So this book was commissioned from us by Google because misinformation is an important issue for them and also for us. So it's the same thing, no? Now this one was designed as a zine, a magazine type, kasi parang
Magazine to.
mas bagay for older readers.
But what do you suggest? Do you just give it to them? Paano ba? Kasi teens na yan, di ba? I mean, pero minsan...
Well, that's also distributed to high schools, and we have several thousand copies allocated just for giving away to kids in high schools all over the country.
Okay, at least ano siya, no? Parang you can talk about each topic. Ano ba? What's the best way to do this with the kids? Maybe a dinner topic per every time. Ganun ba 'yon? Or you just give it to them and then bahala ka na magbasa.
I think the target audience can read it by themselves. Pero as parents, it might be also used. Actually, it's a good reminder then for parents kasi that's a little more sophisticated. In fact, meron nga ako kaibigan, bumili raw siya niyan kasi gusto niya ibigay sa mga tita niya. Kasi kung ano-ano raw mga sineshare sa Viber.
So pang senior citizen version ba to?
So it's not just it's the same thing. So, yeah, that one, I think even adults can learn a lot from it. Kasi it talks about different things like deepfakes or fake photos, that things that they might not be aware of.
All right. So what's your favorite part of this book?
Favorite part of the book?
That you think a lot of people will learn from.
Well, the book ends with letters from experts. So I talked with several experts from various fields. So I have an expert on media. I have an expert on medicine, particularly in the context of the pandemic. I have an expert on science and on politics. No? So I think that's the most useful, especially for parents. No? Kasi it will give them sober information about how to avoid being victims of fake news. Kasi it's really very, very easy to be victimized by fake news. Kasi sometimes it really looks real. It looks like it comes from a credible source. So, yun yung ano.
Pero wala tayong dito parang watchdog na website, no, na that says this is fake news or not fake news.
Not that I'm aware of. Unlike kunyari yung Snopes or...
So we have to discern. So parang we have to teach our kids how to discern. Okay. Yes. And then merong mga sticker. How about the other book, The Safe Space? What's your favorite part?
Sa safe space, wala. It's actually the whole thing kasi it's there's a lot to ano there. Para actually what I like particularly about it is the design. Kasi I think
Oo,
it's
ganda nga
something
eh.
that can get kids really interested and engaged so that they learn. Hindi lang yung binabasa eh, di ba? So in doing the activities, they learn more about how to be safe and why it's important to protect your personal information.
Okay. But it does not go into uh, parang legal aspects of data privacy, you know. It's more a general concept, correct?
Well, it's consistent with the Data Privacy Act.
Yeah,
Pero hindi ko na ginamitan ng I'm a lawyer by the way. So
okay.
I actually specialize on information technology law, which is why I felt comfortable writing these topics. Pero I didn't write the legalese kasi that would make it boring.
Oh, okay. Since you're a lawyer, kasi one of the discussion that we're having is birthdays, di ba? Like for example, some of the schools are asking for birthdays. Di ba privilege information on birthday that you can decide not to give? What's the real story on birthdays?
Well, strictly speaking, yun nga, it's private information, di ba? Pero uh, there you just have to be careful kasi there might be a legitimate interest on the part of the school then to get the birthdays kasi nga when you go to school you're classified by year, di ba? So there are certain ano there. So information is private but you're certainly free to give it away for legitimate purposes. And so if you have any doubts then di ba, I don't recall kung ano nakalagay dun sa ano with respect to giving it away. Pero yung concept kasi nung sa Data Privacy Act, it's really more to so if the school collects your information, then they have a duty to protect it. Diba? So it's not that it's not that they're prevented from asking you for private information. But the more important thing is if they get your private information, then they have a duty to protect it. They cannot just go ahead and share, let's say, then sell the database of names and birthdays to advertisers or something. That would be illegal.
Pero kasi most of the time the schools do not know how to protect, 'di ba? Laging na-hack sila or ang pinaka is yearbook, 'di ba? Minsan print pa nila sa yearbook, 'di ba?
I think pag mga ganyan, you're free not to pagka mga yearbook, you can certainly not give your information, 'di ba? It's up to you. Kasi it's not illegal to ask. Diba? So that's why we also, on our part, we have to be proactive and really be careful about the information that we share about ourselves. And it's not so much nga yearbook. You look at social media. They ask a lot. Social media can even know where you are at this very moment. If your phone is pagka naka-on ang location services niya, diba? So it's really so like a lot of kids play different games that require location to be on.
Okay. So, now last question or I'm interested kasi on this topic talaga and I really wanted to discuss it with the kids. For example, in the Philippines kasi we don't have the right to forget, diba? And since you're working with Google, just for some reason, for example, you posted already a picture and then the kids wants to delete it from their database. Is there a way to kind of do that? Maybe not only Google, for Facebook. What's the rules or any advice on that? Yeah.
The reality is, unfortunately, while sa Google and Facebook, I think they do provide mechanisms for you to delete information. What I want to emphasize is the reality is when you put something on the internet, you have to assume it's there for life. Kasi there are many ways that it can be preserved outside the purview of Google or Facebook. It's going to be on different servers. Someone might take a screen cap of it. If you send it via email, you have a copy, and the one you sent the email to will have a copy. So, the analogy I like to use is a postcard. When you send a letter by postcard, anyone who gets a hold of that postcard can read what you wrote on it. Diba?
Yes.
So ganun din yung sa internet. You have to assume, even when you say you have email, even though you say it's private email, let's say you're working in an office, diba? Your information tech person in the office will probably have access to your email if they wanted to, and you would not even know that they opened your email. So yun, the main point is, your information is valuable. When you put it on the internet, assume that it's permanent and assume that everyone can see it. So don't do anything there that you wouldn't do in public.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And this is really good. I think one of
Thank you.
the
Thank you.
really great book that
Thank
discusses
you.
that can help parents, no? Kasi nga
Yeah.
it's hard as it is to discuss it. But nakikita ko, let's say dito sa fake news, may mga topic na you can discuss like during dinner. Kahit one topic at a time lang, di ba? Just to, kasi we have 4 boys eh. So that dalawang teenagers, dalawang grade schoolers. So it's really good. Where can they buy this during this
They
pandemic?
can buy it online at lookingfor1.com. Looking
Okay.
for one, as in looking for one De La Cruz.
Wait, I'll share the website. Is this Looking for One? So can you tell us more about Looking for One? Is this part of Canvas or it's
No,
a separate?
it's a separate entity. It's a for-profit entity. Pero yung funds that are raised through it are also benefit Canvas. No, so here we work with artists and writers to come up with different merchandise, and this is also where we put our books. So any book you purchase here is matched by Canvas 2-1. So when you buy a book, Canvas donates 2 books for our 1 million books for 1 million Filipino children campaign.
Wow, ang ganda ng mga books. And I guess you ship nationwide or within Metro Manila?
Nationwide.
Nationwide
So,
for the books. Wow, ang ganda. All right. Maybe some final thoughts on this one. Before that, marami bang nagkakaroon ng mga issues na with the kids, yung ayan nga, data privacy? Kasi of course with the rise of the internet, there will be a lot of crimes din, di ba? Nagte-trending na yung mga online crimes. Marami na bang issue ngayon sa mga kids o wala pa? So this is really more of starting them.
It's not so much definitely there are issues pero baka hindi na pa-publicize na. Pero definitely the information of children are going out there and we just have to be careful. It's not necessarily good or bad. It's important to emphasize that sometimes the reason why websites ask for your information sometimes is that it makes it more convenient, or if someone was trying to hack, they have a way to let you know or to verify that it's you. Pero it's two sides, di ba? It's two different things. So it's double-edged. The more important issue is actually fake news. Kasi it's not only that people are misinformed, pero it can cost lives, especially in the time of pandemic when you don't know what's real or what's not. So like there are a lot of fake news going against vaccinations when actually vaccines will help save lives. Pero it's dangerous if you're reading news that seems reasonable, and that seems reasonable and from a good source, pero actually it's discouraging you from getting vaccinated.
Okay, good. Can you invite them? Final thoughts on?
Yes. Again, thank Anton and everyone there. Thank you for this opportunity, and I invite everyone to visit lookingfor1.com. Buy our books, particularly ito You Think, tsaka Safe Space. I think it will help your kids as well as you. You'll learn a lot from it as well. And every purchase, as I mentioned, is matched 2-1. We donate 2 books to poor children all over the country for every purchase. Thank you.
All right. If they need to get in touch with you, do you have an Instagram ba or Facebook? Or
Yes, Yeah, they can email me at gigo@canvas.ph, or they can just email Canvas at info@canvas.ph.
All right. Thank you so much. Ang galing ah.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right.